And everyone survived Christmas. One more,
Yes.
one more holiday celebration to go for the year. So, welcome to Athletics LLC. Surviving the convention, surviving Christmas. I mean, that's a pretty good stat line right there. So, good to go. Good to go. Uh, Gentlemen, how are you all doing this evening, this afternoon, actually? Collect more stones. How are you?
I am wonderful. I want to share with those who were not at the convention or who haven't seen the live show. I want to give homage to the inspirational words of one Miss Big League Chew, who uh, who said that a very good life mantra is to collect more stones than you throw, and I was very moved by that. So, hence my name today.
Cool.
My
Thanks.
my goal in 25 is to do that.
Yeah, that definitely needs to be on a t-shirt somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. Like that's a life mantra for sure.
Great job, Big League.
Thanks. I was on a roll that day. I had like three of them. I was like, oh, all right. So where's my quote book now?
There you go. There you go.
Clyde, how are you today?
I am unbelievably
Sorry, guys.
tired for some strange
Oh,
that is I don't know. I am tired.
you're ready to reset the year. That's what it is.
I hope it's something, because man, you know what it
You have
is.
a 3-year-old. That's what it is.
No, 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 no,
He's in
no, no, no.
Ohio.
My house is completely empty. I'm the only person here, and I've been the only
Whoa.
person here since I got back from convention. So you would think that I would have more energy. No,
No.
I'm nothing.
It's because you have no stimulus in
It
theory,
is.
right?
I think
That
that's
that
That's what
that
it
may
is.
be, yeah.
Yep. No, same thing. Like our house was half full when we got back from convention, and I actually slept. It's like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's crazy. That's parenthood right there, literally, in a nutshell. So, Sir Lucius, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Survived Christmas, spoiled everybody, and um, I'm ready to get a little rest before the middle of next week and start a new year off with a bang. So I'm
Yep.
good. I'm really good. Very thankful, very blessed, and was just good. The grandkids came by yesterday. It's always good to see them and watch their faces as they open their gifts and see the excitement in their eyes, and so it was good. It was good.
So I
Before
don't
we
have
move,
any.
wait, stop.
Sorry. Whoa.
Before we go on, congratulations on the Bowerman.
Thank you so much,
Oh yeah.
Coach
Yeah.
Palmer. Team Coach Palmer, as I like to call them, did a phenomenal job with Miss Parker, and uh, just extremely proud of her from a young lady that at one point really thought about not doing the sport anymore.
Yeah.
To where she is now. Her freshman year here wasn't one that she talks about much, but from that point on, she has been on a mission, and we are extremely proud of her and all of her accomplishments. So, first female Bowerman to go along with the two from Dindy and Holloway. So,
That's awesome.
yeah,
One of the least, or easiest, I should say, Bowerman decisions of recent memory. That was about as obvious of a presentation as we may ever see. So
That
right.
meeting should have taken 1.4 seconds. Falby on 3. All I
Okay.
was going to say was just I was going to ask for Lucius. I have not been blessed with grandchildren, so all I hear is the best thing about grandchildren is that you can send them home. And I was going to ask, is that true?
No, it's not true at all.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
I mean, like, I don't know. There's just something as they get older, when they're younger and not so easy to manage, yeah, right. But as they get older and you can have in-depth conversations with them, and you can have you develop serious relationships with them, and we have 4, so we have different relationships with all of them because they all have different personalities. So they're over here for 2 hours, 2.5 hours yesterday, and that 2.5 hour span I had like 4 different, totally different conversations about different things with these 4 little people. that and the 10-year-old continues to amaze me with the things that come out of his mouth. So
Yeah, Amari is a genius, and you should be getting prepared for him to go to school at Oxford or something.
yeah, we're saving our dollars for that. So
You know,
the saving pennies won't work for Oxford. So
what was that thing that old boy won from Florida State? The was it Rhodes Scholarship or whatever?
The Rhodes Scholarship,
yep.
yeah. Yep.
He's gonna end up over in Great Britain.
Yep.
All right. Well, we started our conversation with it, but now we'll move on to the company conversation. If you weren't at the convention last week, I think, and I don't know, maybe because I took a year off, I think this convention was pretty good. I think all around there were some good conversations, good symposiums. The symposiums seemed like they got kind of back on track as opposed to like trying to gather and scramble for some information. There was actually some information that was forethought or forethought. But overall, what was our consensus about what happened and the things that took place at the convention?
I'll start if you like. I agree with you. I heard very, very good things about the symposiums, and I'm going to give a shout out to Clyde for his very, very, very good presentation on the 4x1 and the absolute clickbait that he used to get everybody in the room was great as well. But I heard nothing but good things about all the symposiums that people attended, and I think that also I really enjoyed walking around and seeing the group of people that were having what seemed to be quality conversations about helping each other get better. It wasn't the usual banter and complaining, and maybe that went on. I just didn't hear it, but there didn't seem to be as much of that as there has been in the past. I do question the message that was set out from the beginning by our CEO Sam Seams, and we hear this rhetoric every year that track and field is dying. We hear this rhetoric every year that we have to push the panic button, we have to make changes, we have to get on television, we have to get on this, but there's never a plan discussed on how we have to do it. And I shouldn't say never. In my opinion, there's never a quality plan. There's never something that says, okay, so we want to do something to make the sport better, but the something you want to do doesn't make the sport better, in my opinion, right? So, like, I think that at some point in time, we have to kind of embrace what we have and try to do subtle things to make it better. But unless I'm missing something, folks, track and field is pretty daggone good right now. Participation numbers from the small, the age group age up to all the way up to college is better than it's been in forever. Can we be better? Absolutely. But I don't think that making changes that'll still put us in the same box that we've always been, or making changes that continue to make us a circus that nobody understands is what we need to do.
All right, so that's interesting. Convention overall, I thought was very good. Maybe it's a weather thing. I don't know, but I wasn't cold for the whole week, so it was more enjoyable than the Denver experiences. The very few symposiums that I was able to attend because I was busy were pretty good. And to Lucious's point, I heard nothing but good things. I didn't hear that anybody bombed in a symposium, and let's be clear.
Right. We've heard that in the past.
Usually there's a few bombs
Yeah.
from year to
Right.
year. I do appreciate all those that came out to see mine. People ask me, what do I think? I'm like, I'm on the stage, and it ain't about what I think. It's about what the audience thinks. And the feedback that I've heard so far has been largely completely positive. So I appreciate the shout out. As far as the messaging from the top and um, I think that one of the themes from this convention was the idea of change. Now, this was the first time I got convinced, finessed, if you will, onto the executive committee, and as a rookie on the executive committee, that whole experience and serving on that for the past year, and then doing the daily, 7 a.m. thing at the convention and going through that whole experience was very eye-opening for me. Just the process of how change comes to our body and how people are able to submit proposals for change, some good, some laughable, most interesting, if nothing else. And just sifting through that whole process and working our way through it, I found very intriguing. I enjoyed it. Somehow I got finessed into being on the dais for big proposed change, which was obviously an evolution of our outdoor championship model. I'll say this, as a person who has been in that room working on those things for months, a lot of the talk, a lot of the narrative, a lot of the misunderstanding of things, I personally was blown away by. But that's because I'm a very direct speaking person. So if you charge me with a task and then I answer the question that you asked us to answer, I don't actually understand why that would be confusing to so many people. And so I was happy to stand on that stage and take the questions and take the bullets representing the larger body of work that the executive committee put through. Some of the questions and hesitation I thought was fair. Some of it I thought was ridiculous. And ultimately, don't get it twisted. We solved the tasks we were asked to solve with our proposal. Now, if people want a different proposal, if people want different tasks shot at, well, then you have to give us those. And you can't ask us for a thing and then we give it to you and then people freak out about it. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But I did enjoy the overall experience. I knew that vote would ultimately be close. And I can assure you that that issue and those types of issues are still very much alive and will continue to be debated. And I think that's a good thing.
Well, I'm gonna let the EP go, and I'm gonna say something about that as well. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely the topic I was primarily going to land on. It's just that like I unfortunately think that your committee was set up to fail only because they asked you to do three things at once.
Yes.
And if you were asked to do three separate things, I think you would have left the convention with change and feeling holistically positive. But because they were all linked together, and one of them was, sorry, one of those things that you were asked to do required you to bring to the body a relatively drastic numbers change. Most people in the room couldn't get past that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You
Mhm.
could have offered the cure for cancer, but you had to take the number of people at the regional meet from 48 to 36, and I mean 48 to 32.
Yep.
Therefore, they stopped hearing any proposal and anything that you were saying, and all of the other things that the proposal was solving. So I think going forward, what will probably happen is there'll be multiple proposals. It'll be chopped up, and I'd be willing to bet you that a good portion of the work that you guys just did will get brought back up and be successful next year. I went through this one time in the Pac-12 when we used to have standards and roster limits, and I kept saying it doesn't make sense to have both. So of course,
Right.
my first year in the conference, when I made the suggestion, of course it didn't go well. Right, the following year, the exact same proposal was brought to the table, and it passed. With one abstention kind of deal. It's just sometimes people need time to process things to see the forest for the trees. But I will say, as a very pleasant bystander at the convention, right? Like, obviously, I used to be a college coach for a very long time. I think mostly like one, but I am not one. So it allows me to be in the room, but listen to everybody talking. I thought this was one of the better conventions. Um, I've sat next to Sir Lucious on many occasions in those voting rooms, just like, what are we doing? And and at the end, he would always say the same thing: just tell me how I get to the meet, and I'll get my people there. And I used to just run with that same mantra, because inevitably sometimes you end up having to be that way. But I thought that this convention, there were a lot more sidebar conversations that were in the same directions, right? There was a lot more positive sidebar conversations about ways to try to move the sport forward, and ways to do things that are more positive, and not just the gloom and doom, as Sir Lucius mentioned, that Sam kind of started the convention with. Um, I will say the one interesting bombshell that was dropped during the collegiate convention was pertinent to the convention 2 weeks prior in the same city, which was that USATF is $5 million in the red. I thought the timing of that particular announcement was very interesting, because all the people that were talking about it were college coaches, and all the people who would normally have talked about it were gone 2 weeks ago. But other than that, I thought the convention was one of the more positive. I again, like all of you, I heard nothing negative about anybody's symposium. I thought most of the symposiums were, things people needed to hear. And I don't know, for it being post Olympic, because I think sometimes there's a great deal of post Olympic fatigue, as I know a good portion of this panel will agree on. There wasn't any of that. Like, nobody mailed anything in. I thought it was pretty good stuff.
So what I wanted to say, in kind of response to the things that Clyde said, was one, that you guys absolutely did what you were charged to do. And I don't think the reason you get a pushback, so much pushback from the body, is because the body is not the people that asked you to make those changes, right? Those things came from same things. So the majority of the people in that room had no idea what was going on. It's fresh, it's new. And so immediately, as we do, we look for the negative, right? Immediately we go, well, that's this and that's that. The other side of this is the proposal side of it, right? So there were 10 proposals, maybe 12, and like 10 of them were from two people, right?
Yes.
And
That
so
is
I think
true.
we're the only sport that allows our coaching body to make proposals that nobody can seem to figure out that these proposals are what's best for this person's team, right? So that's why you're always going to get pushback from those things as well. So at some point in time, okay, again, no disrespect to Sam here, you know, but like at some point in time, we have to do what's best for the masses. We have to do what's best for the sport, more importantly, and not just sit in a room and go, okay, this is going to appeal to the 30 teams that don't get Sears Cup points. And it's a brilliant, right, for those 30 teams. But does this help the sport as a whole? As I said to you guys in the room on a couple of occasions, is we keep clamoring about getting on television, getting on television, getting on television. Now, if we're going to get on television and it's going to put revenue into our pockets, which television never puts revenue anywhere for us, hasn't to this point, then I'm all for it. But we keep changing the sport. This has been going on since we went to the regional structure, the first four regional structure. We got to get on television, right? And we still not on television. And I will go to my grave with this one. If we were something television wanted, they would have come and got us by now, right? The way we're structured, the way we do things, the way our sport is. I don't mean like you can change the structure, because whether it's 32 or 48 or 94 or whatever it is, what we do doesn't package television. We're not the team sport. We're not what they look for. We're not the hour and a half, 2 hour package they can get away with. And even if they do, the market isn't there. I saw a wonderful movie last night about the female boxer. and it talked a lot in the movie about how female boxing just wasn't marketable. It wasn't what they were looking for, right? So like, we are very important every 4 years in my mind, but in the other 3 years, we're just like, we're over there. I think it's wonderful we get on the stream. I think it's wonderful that we get the attention we do. And again, I think you and the committee did a phenomenal job of the task that was given to you. But the problem is where the task came from more than anything else. And again, even based on what you guys did, the comments I heard about that was the rich are just getting richer. So, and this is what somebody said to me. So we're just going to give Florida 14 points going to the national championship.
And so that, I think that part of it, because I heard things in that space too.
Well, I knew you were going to.
that part of it, to be honest with you, if anything irritated me, it's that.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many conversations on various topics in this particular space where one side was about competition and the other side wasn't. That mentality, oh, we're just going to give Florida 14 points. No, Florida would earn their 14 points for the work that they're doing at the level that they're doing it, and for, in this example, qualifying their kids from one round to the next, which is, the point. It's not. Trust me, I'm I'm the inventor on the show of First World Problems, and we throw that that dagger in Sir Lucious's direction for fun when we can. But at the end of the day, I'm not Florida, and the majority isn't. But my work isn't currently being recognized the way it should be for the what sometimes seems like an impossible task of taking a small school program on limited budgets, getting athletes into the meet, and then hell, advancing them. I don't currently get compensated for that at all. And our kids don't, and our programs don't. And we're not recognized for it with cut points or by our administrations. So that particular point of view, you're worried that Florida is going to have more points. They already won the meet any damn way. And that's why I took the time, to when we built the graphic that literally showed, hey, for the record, the top 5 teams in the country would have still been the top 5 teams in the country. So I don't really know what you're mad about. Like, there's no model that exists. There's no change that would even remotely be thought of where the top people ain't the top people. Now, there's a whole bunch of proposals that were thrown out where it would only be the top people in the championship. And in that regard,
For the record, I totally disagree with all of those.
No, I know you do.
That is
but
elitist at its
absolutely
highest level. At its highest level.
And those got shot down relatively quickly by the committee and shot down by the votes of the larger body when they were up for vote. Like, no one's here for that nonsense, right? But when we have like that, I guess that was my whole thing. It was, look, you're not going to change the top. The top's going to be the top. Hell, with these new money models that are coming out, the top's really about to be the top. So how do we allow more of us to be seen, more of us to be visible? And that's what that was.
Right.
The television.
Like again, I don't think anybody has an issue with what you guys came up with. And I know a lot of that was yours. That was your baby, right? Nobody in the room had an issue with your work. The issue was with what you were asked to do, right?
No, I get that.
Yeah. Because what you were asked to do, there's no other way to do it than the way you came up with, right?
And
because the original model you were given, they would have not liked that at all.
No,
and like you said, you can't even make that work. So we don't need to talk about that.
And I have to say this because I said it a million times to a million different people. We're on the show now. It is very, very important to me, and maybe it shouldn't be, but it just is, that everybody understands just because the executive committee chose to throw the rookie out there on the stage, that was the work of all of us. I may have
Right.
ended up being the face of it, but that was months and months of conversations and discussions and debates amongst a lot of people. And I never want to be seen as, you know, I did something. No, no, no. That was a us thing. And there was a lot of
And
my
again, I don't think anybody
and
saw that as a ego. I mean, I think that
oh no, no.
honestly, man.
People absolutely did. Like
Okay.
halfway through the convention, it was, well, Chuck's proposal. Hold on, time out. No, sir, no, ma'am. Not me.
No,
Us.
I didn't hear that, so I wasn't aware of that. So, all right. So I mean, let's not beat that horse to death. It is what it is, and as you
Yeah.
said, everything got shot down. So we'll see what happens moving forward.
Well,
Most def.
from one organization to the next, uh, you know, there's more and more news as evolution of new bodies forming for competition. That's the way I'm going to put it. There's you know, different entities that have come out, that are coming out and have been out in regards to making track more digestible and more popular and more enticing to watch. So we're now currently seeing the expansion, or do I want to call it expansion, evolution of Grand Slam track.
Big league, because you're big league, you call whatever you want to.
Like, I'm trying to be nice about
Right.
it.
Okay, well,
Just-
Big
just
League.
call whatever you want
So,
to.
Big League, do the audience a favor. Stop trying to be nice about it and tell them what you're talking about, because most people don't know what the new news is or whatever. So just say it so we can.
Well, I don't even know how to say the angle. Someone else take it,
Okay,
because
all right.
I take the
Let the
angle.
EP do it then,
Yeah.
sir.
I mean, basically, when you first roll something out, right, you do it cloak and dagger style, so you get people enticed to see what's next. So the unfortunate part, in my opinion, for Grand Slam track, what's next has now been rolled out, and it's come across as a gigantic meh, because now we're finding out that the athletes are required to sign 2-year contracts. Now we're finding out that thus far, there's not been a TV contract attached to this. Now the proposed pricing of these events and the dates of these events have been rolled out, and so now we actually, we've had all kinds of movie trailers, right? But now we're getting a soft opening. This is what they do with big movies. We're getting, test model results on the movie, and for the most part, everybody's like, I have questions. And that's not how you want that, something that is supposed to save track. We can't save field. Sorry. I'm not sorry. That's not how something that is proposed to be that way. You don't want your soft opening, right? You don't want your rollout to go this way, because right now I would say there are more questions than excitement. A month ago, there was twice as much excitement as there were questions. And I think that's where we are. Am I saying that correct, folks?
Hey,
Sure.
said it with your chest, brother.
And again,
So-
I want to be clear. I didn't say, nor did anybody on the show saying we think it's going to be a failure yet. What we are saying is, Lucy, you got some explaining to do about this rollout.
So it's interesting that we ended up doing this in this sequence, because this particular point that I want to make ties into what Sir Lucious said about the previous point. I'm going to take Michael Johnson at his word and believe in his mission.
Mm-hmm.
He says that he can save track. I don't know how, especially from an American audience perspective, you can accomplish that feat, assuming that it's even necessary, if it's not on television. Now, Sir Lucious just said that if the TV people wanted us, they'd come get us. I think that there's a distinct line between what GST or Athlos or any of these other Diamond League, that's professional track and field. Collegiate track and field is a very, very, very different game and a different audience in theory. So if Grand Slam track, invented by one of our game's legends, that fits in a very, very TV friendly, palatable schedule timeline that doesn't take all day, right? It fits in the TV window. And it has all the stars, 90% of them, right? When you look at the roster,
It has quite a few stars.
There's very few people missing that you would want, including the biggest, Sydney. You got Sid, right? If that product doesn't have anybody tied to it that can get the TV people to put it on TV, then I don't understand what we're doing. I don't see how that exists not on television. You can't save anything from YouTube. You can't save anything, behind a paywall on a website. So I hope I am awaiting a later announcement that says, hey, actually, yeah, this is going to be on live television in America. Because if it's not, I just don't get it. I mean, we are all a fan of the ATL series. Paul Doyle got his meets on TV, and they don't have the gravitas of this. So I'm not understanding how or why Grand Slam track isn't going to be on television. The collegiate model, the people who believe in the TV piece of it, believe it from the standpoint of colleges, period, have fan bases. And anything that you put on the television connected to TCU, the people who love TCU will watch things because it's TCU. Now, you can debate whether or not that's true. And when collegiate track and field is on live television, the numbers say that the audience likes us. So we just want more opportunities for that. But that's a different conversation. This is pro. And if it's not on TV, I don't see how it's sustainable if it's not on TV, financially or otherwise.
Because I know Sir Lucious is going to be much more eloquent than I on this particular topic, I'm going to jump in here and just say my piece. Listen, the people who are involved in track and field need to look directly square in the mirror and understand some things. Professional track is what we're talking about, and therefore it is athletainment. It is not purified track and field, just like NBA games and NFL games are not the games in their purest, right? Because in no world does the NBA head coach really want to not be talking to his team during a timeout, but instead talking to a reporter, right?
That's right.
But that's what is necessary for the product on television, right? And that's what college football has become too, right? Because now we're getting those, we're getting those conversations with the Ryan Days of the world as well, right? So like, there's a lot of things that are different. So if it's going to be on TV, first of all, the people involved in the sport who are doing it need to understand that it is an entertainment entity as much as it is the purity of your sport. So you have to be willing to do more, make yourself available for media before, during, and after, right? And so on. More than likely, if this was going to be successful and going to be on television, it should probably be at night. I think we all would agree with that. Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's just do a simple math. The only night that is available is Tuesday night, because there is football on Monday, Wednesday, Christmas, Thursday, every week, Friday, college and high school, Saturday, college and pro,
Well,
Sunday.
not during those times of the year though. Your main
Right.
competition is
Yeah.
basketball.
Basketball,
True
college
story.
basketball, right?
True story. But what we all know about the NFL is you have the NFL season and you have the NFL off season. They're both seasons,
But
right?
not there's no
There's no games.
there's no games. Yeah.
So I definitely think it would need to be on at night. But to Clyde's point, right? Like the first thing that has to happen is that like I need to find out what the TV rollout is going to be. I mean, I would love to see somebody think outside the box. Like the most successful thing on television with the track has been on Netflix, has been the documentary, right? How about we sell the meats to Netflix? Right? Like there's an idea.
Oh,
I mean, everybody loved the football that was on Netflix yesterday. But anyway, I'm not involved, so I don't have to think of these things. But I think where my questions, and I think others have the same questions, come about with is there's a money stream that has been announced. This is what these people are going to be paid. That's great. If anything, World Athletics helped Grand Slam track because World Athletics rolled out their new pay schedule and it was the same except for 2 events.
mm-hmm.
So Grand Slam track does look way more athlete friendly and athlete budget friendly. But the question everybody is going to ask, and that's basically what we're asking right now, is like, where is the real money stream and how is that sustainable? Like that's the real question. And so like until we see a real TV situation, until we get those questions answered, it just seems like all I can do is scratch my head and wait. So I will.
And we've seen this movie before, and this is not the sequel. It's maybe the whatever the number 6 or 7 exactly. Yeah. So, and I think that the big thing here is the model sustainable? Will these big paydays happen? I look at the amount they're charging for meets. Like the lowest ticket is $20. So the thought is, well, they pay $20 to play basketball. Well, basketball's inside, there's air conditioning, there's great concessions and all that stuff, right? So for me, I think don't get me wrong. I understand what Mike's trying to do. Again, I'm gonna piggyback off of Clyde a little bit that I'm not sure what he's saving, right? Because I think this gives people a chance to make money, but the people that are signed up for the meets all have contracts, right? So because if you don't have the star power, then you don't want you to meet. So it's no different than what they're doing. It's just giving the people that are making the money more opportunity to make money, because this is not helping the guy that's working at Walmart that has to, train 20 hours a week and hope that he can get in a competition. It's not helping him, right? So at the end of the day, for me, I give Mike and his organization credit for trying to do something. I fully hope it works, but I'm kind of on the wait and see, where we'll be in 2 or 3 years from now. Like what Paul Doyle does is phenomenal, but it's not putting a lot of money in a lot of people's pockets. Like Paul does a lot of work to do the things he does, but you're not making a living just running in the American track league. Like you're not going to make a living doing that. So for me, I'm on the wait and see model. Like I said, this isn't the sequel. It's the whatever. We've had a lot of these thoughts and ideas thrown around. But until we get this to be like the Diamond League, with the guaranteed money from television and shoe companies and all that stuff, it's a work in progress. So we'll have to wait and see how Mike and his crew get it going, and get some field events involved. Mike, it might help a little bit.
No.
Not doing that with you. That's just my opinion.
Hey, listen, I can't even blame Mike, right? I mean, World Athletics bastardized the field events in their Ultimate Challenge in 2026.
Okay, so this is not the topic today, sir.
So the thing that I will take from both the prior topic and this topic here is 2 things. One, we have to take small bites of the elephant to conquer the whole elephant.
Ooh,
So
here we go. Shoeism
we've got
Shoeism number 55.
Like we try to keep chomping and just taking these big huge bites when, because we've already been in existence, that's not going to go well. We have too many people who are set in their ways that have to see little glimpses of the light to see the full entire light. So like we've got to go it that way in both entities. So GST and in the USTFCCA NCAA. Part two is 1A, 2A is if you want to be a part of if you want change, you have to be a part of the change, And so we've done that to an extent of, Clyde and his committee and that committee putting forth some legislation. Sure, it was shot down, but I'm like we've said before, people are going to come back next year with versions of, right? But in creating these versions of and creating these entities that want to help promote track and field at that, we have to stop creating our own models and marry the models that are working.
Oh, say it again for the people in the back.
So I just feel like sometimes we just have to have our version, and it's not our version, it's the versions of everything that came together, and stop trying to like insert ego and being the savior of all. So I don't know, that's just what I keep hearing. And when I take the layers back, the root of it is those things for me. So I don't know. We'll see. But I mean, like to my 2A, kudos for MJ to put something out to maybe fail. Because that's half the issue, half of the fight.
Remember the acronym, first attempt in learning.
Oh, got it. I needed to write that down. That was in my head going.
Yeah.
But that's holistically it.
Right.
So yeah. So my inefficient way of being nice to GST. So I'll loft it and then walk away from it because you know how I feel. Week one, first days of the CFP. It's interesting.
I just want
to
say
a little
this.
bit of attention, but
I just want to say this. Just because the games weren't good doesn't mean that the process was flawed. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
And so many people who were waiting to be naysayers, so many people are like, see, this is why we didn't need 12 teams. And see, this is why you can't support these conferences, because we're only talking about the SEC and the Big Ten are the only conferences that matter, right? This is why you can't have all these other conferences with buys and all. And I just keep saying, like, guys, the whole point of having 12 is that we were going to find out on the field who the national champion is. There's no question that is going to happen. So like, I don't care that you didn't like that. Like, the 16 versus 1 games are not great in the tournament.
They're typically not great in any tournament.
Right? So at the end of the day, your first round matchups, you should be excited if you get one to be interested in, because according to Chalk, they're not supposed to be that interesting.
Well, so you know me, I hate disingenuous arguments. Like, I don't care what you want to argue about. You better be able to defend it, and it needs to make sense.
Yep.
So, first of all, for all the people that say the first round game sucked, we don't need them, they also say that the majority of the teams, half, because there's only 4 teams, half of the teams that got a bye shouldn't have got a bye because they suck. So what they're really saying is, since your mentality is that Arizona State and Boise, let's be clear, that's who they're shooting at, got a bye and are unworthy of it, you think they would have got blown out worse in the first round by definition.
Right.
So that doesn't make any sense at all. Understand, for the people who don't get it, you can debate whether or not there should be 12 teams, blah, blah, whatever. The reason that the committee, we're spending a lot of time talking about committees, the reason that they settled on this model is because they had to. If you don't reward the conference champion with a game off, then there's no value to playing in the conference championship.
which Lane Kiffin very eloquently said
Right.
during the
Hence
season.
why you got to take the top 4 ranked champions and give them a week off. Now, personally, I think that the second round, if those 4 people earned a week off, they should also earn a home game. But that's my only problem with the whole thing. Now, here's the funniest part, because it went in order. SMU gets blown out. See, SMU didn't belong in the game, right? What's the names get blown out? See, they shouldn't have been in the game.
Indiana.
Indiana. Everybody's shooting at SMU and it was fever pitch level high. But then the SEC got blown out.
Yes.
Then Tennessee got their brains blown out.
And Lane Kiffin's phone stopped working.
Right. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, so by your logic, Tennessee didn't deserve to be in there either. Since getting blown out means you ain't supposed to be considered for the game. Now all of a sudden it's less of that. So I don't just shut up. It's fine. It's fine. There's no other way to do it in this example. Now, if you want a different example, all that's fine. But if it's going to be 12 and you want conference games to matter, then this is what you're going to get. And they're not going to change it and they're not going to tweak it because you know why? It made a shit ton of money. It works. It's fine.
So I want to first take your comment. This is the only way to do it based on how we do things, right?
Yep.
That's the same thing with track and field, and I'm gonna leave that alone. All right. So back to the college football playoff. I want to have people not have such short memories when there's 4 teams that were blowouts.
Yep.
And just as bad, if not worse than some of these, right?
Yeah.
So this whole thing that Ohio State blew out Tennessee because Ohio State has this magical roster, and they do. The bottom line is Tennessee got blown out. And obviously I'm an Ohio State fan, so I'm cool with that. But at the end of the day, like Tennessee got blown out because they got blown out by a better team, as did the other 2 teams, right? So something that what's this thing that the kids say, standing on business, right? Okay. We have stood on this from the beginning that you can't punish a team because they beat the people you put in front of them, right?
Yep.
So regardless of what Indiana did, they did what they were asked to do, right? SMU did what they were asked to do. So at the end of the day, we have to stop this nonsense of they didn't belong. No, they earned their way there. And I totally agree with you. There's no world where in this system, as you said, the conference champion doesn't get a bye.
Right? It's crazy.
Right? Clemson's a conference champion. They were the 5th, the lowest ranked one.
Yep.
And they played a hell of a game. That game was much closer than it looked. Texas tried to give them more chances than they deserved, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, it's football. It's athletics. And people get to a stage. Do I think that Indiana was as bad as they showed? No. But I think that the stage was bigger than they expected. I mean, we have to understand SMU football is in a constant fight to get back to where they were 30 years ago. So for them to even be here is an accomplishment. And the moment just seemed to be too big for them. Right. But I also think, I know for me, I can't speak for other people, but a big part of me evolving as a coach were the losses that I took. And I got to believe that these teams took these losses. They're going to go back and work harder and find a way to be better. And there's also the teams out there that are now saying, I have a path to try to get to the 12. I know how to get there now. I think it makes the game more competitive. I think you'll have to see more people fighting to get to those 12. If you don't think Lane Kiffin's pretty pissed off that he came to Gainesville and laid an egg, yeah, he is. He is.
Right. And it's their fault. They did it to themselves.
Exactly right.
And it was funny to me because everybody kept saying, well, they didn't belong. And so I would always come back. So the 3-loss Alabama team that got boat raced by the terrible Oklahoma team is better? Because you're just saying they're better because Saban won 7 championships there. He's not there. And neither are those people, right? This year's version, honestly, South Carolina had a better resume, but they were blocked because they lost to Alabama, right? But at the end of the year, I think we would all agree South Carolina was outplaying Alabama on the football field.
Yeah, I don't think there's one team nobody wanted to see, That was South Carolina.
Yeah, nobody wanted to play them.
Super hot. Okay, so now if you look at SMU's roster and Alabama's roster, okay, Alabama's roster based on the star system is better. But what happened on the field, SMU was better. So therefore, SMU got to go. It's not SMU didn't tell Alabama to get blown out by an Oklahoma team that, couldn't score on Buell's High School and all of a sudden put up 34 points on them, right?
Yes. Yes.
That's not SMU's fault. Again, like some of the other schools, like Ole Miss, Alabama did that to themselves.
100.
And I'll throw this out there just because I literally think it's the only thing I'm complaining about, at least. They're still trying to be beholden to these bowl games and their labels. It's just categorically ridiculous that no one has to go to Boise and play a game. No one has to go to Autzen and play a game.
Yeah.
Like, no one has to go to the desert and play a game. Like, I get, the week off was cool and everything, but I think that the home field advantage and having the games on the campuses was dope. I think that was super exciting. And the reason that you want the 12 is so more people across the country give a shit. That's how you make money.
Okay.
So I just, like, playoff game in Boise, if they earned it, and they have this year, would have been amazing. Like,
yeah,
in Tempe at the Sun Bowl or whatever the hell they're calling it these days, like, whatever. But it's fine. They got their label.
And the spin on the whole SEC thing, it means more. And that's not about the SEC. It means more now there's 12. It means more like, so now it's okay. Now there's more people with hope. And it's the first year of it. It's only going to get better. Like, am I the only one that can see that college football overall was better this year?
Oh, and it's in such a healthy place.
Yes.
Right? Look, we lost. I mean, okay, listen, people aren't paying attention. Look at the icons that have left college football. Well, here, I'll help you. There's one sitting head coach that's won a national championship. Do that math, folks, right? So that's what's left the sport recently. There's one. So
Dabo, right?
Just Dabo.
Well, there's two. Sorry, Dabo and Kirby Smart. I messed it up.
Oh,
there's two,
that's right.
Right, there's two. But there are only two. But the point is, right? Like, if that's all that's out there, that means that the sport has gotten to be healthy because of itself, right? It's not just these giant personalities of coaches, and that is the definition of high tide raising all boats, right? Mm-hmm. Like, people want to see 12 teams play, not just like Saban versus Harbaugh. You know what I mean? Like the entire sport itself is in a healthy place, and I don't get why people just want to. People just want.
We're not gonna dive into that pool today, right? So
people just want to complain, and I'm just like, guys, listen. Unless you want somebody to gift your particular college a national championship, it's not going to get better than what we have.
No.
See what you just spoke to, EP, is part of the whole issue with athletics. It's in my opinion, it's an issue with life itself, right? People move towards the negative. They look for the problems and not look for, how can this make us better, right? So in this situation, like I said, before it was, way back in the day, it was 2 teams, right? And then now it became 4, and now it becomes 12. And there's always talk about 16. So we'll see where that goes. But now, again, like I said a few moments ago, like, the sport is better. The games on the field, like, they mean something, right? Like, so now you have the teams that are fighting to get there, and also the teams that are saying, well, I'm going to block them and make sure they don't get there, right? So now, like, the excitement, the game, like I said, you guys know, I didn't start really watching college football a lot until I started dealing with y'all knuckleheads, but now I watch it even more because the games are better, right? Yeah. So, like, I loved watching college football this year because it was meaningful again for some reason. It was.
It's way better than back in the days when the sports writers decided who the national championship matchup was.
Yeah, it's way better than that.
Like, people, you don't have to be that old to have lived in that era where the AP poll, the final AP poll, there was all kinds of politicking in all those games going into the then the AP poll decided 1 versus 2. That was it.
That's right.
I mean, just think about that
multiple-
concept. The sports writers poll overrode the coaches poll.
Correct.
Okay. Listen, the Florida Ole Miss game this year at that point in the season would have been completely irrelevant
Yes.
every other year except this one.
Except for this
Correct.
one. Yeah.
Correct.
So this year in the past is just, Ole Miss trying to play for a better bowl game and Florida fighting for their life, right? This year you got a Florida team that's starting to figure out that has a chance to ruin Ole Miss's season. There's the difference in your storylines,
And like even the other way, right? Like, look, we all were just aghast when Bama lost to Vandy. But the funny part is, like, that didn't end their season.
Right.
In the old model, it's a wrap.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. But in the current iteration, like, it is very obvious. If you only lose 2 games in the SEC, you are probably going to get in. So that now means you have more room to work on more things, and like every game is not do or die, but they're all relevant.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole sport is just so much better.
Yep.
So tangent off of, not close, but kind of close. Pathways, ways to make success or create success. Sir Lucious, you haven't seen it on the social media avenues yet, has released a book. He has authored, is it correct to say authored a book?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he has authored a book. It is available. There's a QR code that is out to purchase, but is on Amazon as well. So we're just going to ask him a few questions because we need him to talk about the book because he won't do it on his own. So,
and if you watch the show every week, you absolutely know that that's true.
Okay, so I'm gonna get the first question out of the way because this is gonna be a question of the fandoms. Is, are we gonna get the playbook out of the book?
You'll get snippets of the playbook. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think there's anybody that gives their total playbook away, but I mean, you'll get a very good look into how I go about approaching championship situations. A very good snippet of that.
Okay, I like that.
I'll circle because I have at least 2 questions from the audience. I hope I get them right. The first one is this book is it more legacy memoir, or is it more track and field informational, or is it a blend?
If you're looking for workouts, not the book for you. If you're looking for memoirs, absolutely. I talk about my childhood, my upbringing. I talk about, people that were important and have had an influence in my life. Again, like I said, I think it'll give you some insight into how my brain works in dealing with situation when it comes to, making decisions on how to grow teams and grow people and stuff like that. Obviously there's some recanting of, certain situations that I thought were definitely highlights of what I've been able to accomplish in my career.
You want my second one now, or?
The other 2 are muted, I guess. So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, I got you. I was my
So
anyway.
in the realm of sporting humans, athletes, coaches, whoever that write books.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if you're legally allowed to talk about this, but like, what was your process like? Is it something like you penned the ideas and the layout and ghostwriter X filled in the blanks, or every word of this is yours and you handed it to people? Like, what was your process in creating this project?
In the beginning, there was a layout, and because of all the free time I have, right? But the thought process in the beginning was to have conversations and to allow these ghostwriters, as you say, kind of help me form my words. And then after a couple of sessions, I'm like, no, like this needs to be me. It needs to be my voice. So I'm going to write this and then I'm going to give this to you so you can, you know, check for grammar and, that kind of the content type stuff,
Editor,
right?
yeah.
But the editors, yeah. So they became more editors than ghostwriters. So like, this is in my voice. This is me from my heart and not a thing of like a ghostwriter, spilling out my thoughts and words. Cause that was important to me. I did this. I promised my mom I was going to do this years ago. And when she passed away, it was heavy on my heart to get it done because I didn't get it done before she left. And so that was a big part of it. But it definitely needed, like, I mean, like, so I got 3 people on the screen that would have read it like this. Mouse didn't like this, right? Right. So I wanted to be my voice. So these are my words. It's not a ghostwriter. This is me and from my heart. So yeah.
And personally, I think that's important. People
Yes,
who
I
are
agree.
fans of you and are interested in this would want to know that. And
Yeah.
so that's great.
I obviously am going to read the book probably multiple times, but I have not read it yet for obvious reasons. But the question I have before I read the book is, to use the current day's vernacular, like, did you say this with your chest, or did you listen? We know how you really think, and we know how you really say things in your own head, right?
Right.
But 99% of the people out there don't know that, Mouse. So the question I have is this book written in on the dais politically correct, say the right things voice, Mouse? Or is this, as I like to say on the show, or is this written in the voice of Cussing Mouse?
Well, cussing mouse definitely does not show up here. But there were definitely times in the book where I say things with my chest. Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
There
Okay.
are definitely times when, I'm just open and honest about stuff, right? But I'm not cussing now. So,
Well, you don't have to cuss, but you know what I mean. Like, I mean that guy.
I mean, so
But
so basically, you asked me were there any moments in this book where I called people out? Yes, I did.
that's what I'm saying with your chest, sir. That's I can't.
Yes, I did.
I just want to say this. I'm going to buy this book for everybody that I can think of.
You're silly.
Look,
No, go ahead.
no. All I was going to say is, like, look, we kid and we joke with you, and obviously we're all very, very close to you. But at the end of the day, the number of championships that you have won in the number of years that you have been coaching, most people would have been done wrote a book, and it just would have been, look at me, I've won. We all know you don't write books like that, right?
Not
So
going to
this,
know.
right? So this book is the book that I haven't read it yet, but I know this is the book that most young coaches probably need to read.
I mean, like I said, there's some content in the book that I think will help people. I think the biggest thing that when I read it myself, what I see is I remember my young days. I remember my struggles, right? I think that's the thing that, people forget. And trust me, I try to forget, but I have to remind myself every now and then that there was a year, it just still hurts me to say it, like 17 years ago when we were 51st indoors and 34th outdoors, right? I don't like to remember that time, but I have to hold on to it because it's what got me to where I am now, right? As I said earlier in the show, some of the losses I took, a lot of the losses I took, made me a better coach, made me a better human being, made me a better person overall. And so I share some of those experiences, not just with track and field, but in my life overall in this book.
Well, I will simply say, as having witnessed somebody write a book, that is extremely hard to do.
Yes, it
And
is. Way harder than people think.
congratulations
Thank you so much,
on
sir.
pulling it off. I know that the governor is not here, but there are now 2 people in the LLC family that have authored books. One of y'all gonna have to be next. Chewy. You know what I
I
mean?
like how you threw that at everybody else. Well, I will
I
tell you
mean,
guys this too. I am working on a second book that I mean, I'm gonna try not to. I'm never gonna be cussing mouse. I'm not gonna do that. But I am working on a second book that I think that this one's going to be more based on leadership overall, and so it'll be some chest out moments in this one as well. So,
Big League, I didn't mean to cut you off, so please share your question and thoughts.
I don't remember now. Sorry.
Oh,
This is
see,
this is sick. This is sick BLC. Sick BLC
yeah.
doesn't do well. So no, but what I was gonna say is I'm gonna rephrase cuss and mouse. And it's caps exclamation marks mouse. That's what it is. It's the
Right.
out loud. So that's how I hear it, see it. So
So I had a discussion, and like a young coach asked me, he's like, "Coach, like, why don't you miss very often? We all miss. Like, there's nobody that's perfect." He said, "But why don't you miss very often?" And a big part of it, I believe, is because of my vision. Because I'm always trying to, like, if I'm at the Florida relays, I'm looking to see how this gets me to the national meet. And too many people just look at what's happening that day. They don't see how that's going to be a build to down the road. I had a conversation with someone last year at the Tom Jones meet that said this needs to be a stepping stone to us running 38.6 or better at the national championship. Wonder who that was, right? That's what it's about, right? That's what it's about. Good job, Clive.
well, I'm gonna throw this out for the audience because they wouldn't get this unless I said it. I think from the outside, one of the reasons you miss less frequently than most is a lesson I learned from you. When did I work at Wake? 27 years ago.
It was either 99 or probably 99, 2000.
Yeah, no, because it was 98 or 99. So anyway, it was one of those.
Yeah, I'm sorry, yeah.
And you said to me, and I ran with it since then, and I've watched you do it, and I've done it myself, and I've tried to get others that I work with to do this. You can't be intimidated or enamored with any one person's talent, and you have to be willing to walk away from talented people that don't fit your program. Do you remember telling me that?
I do.
And I think this is just the world according to me. I think a great number of people have fights every day with people that shouldn't be on their campus because that young person was talented and they couldn't see past that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old I don't want to make this person mad because they can score points for me. But you can't see that they're poisoning the well, right? So that this one person might score points for you, but there's this pool of people over here that can score more points than this one person, but you're poisoning them. So you never get the fruits of the total tree because of that one person.
So I'll share the nugget from the conversation. If you recruit the right person and you don't get them, they beat you once or twice a year. If you recruit the wrong person and you do get them, they beat you every day.
Every single day.
That is why you miss less frequently than most.
Thank you, sir.
Just my opinion.
I mean, I don't think there's a better way to end the show on that one. So we're gonna go ahead and just let that door close.
Yeah. So if you guys are trying to get the book, it's on Amazon. It's called the hashtag The Holloway, the unconventional path of Coach Mike Holloway. It might say Mouse in there somewhere. I'm not sure.
But definitely, it's a must-have. So congratulations, so awesome to see.
Thank you so much.
Definitely not it on the next. So Just to I'll put that out there for me.
Well, look, y'all already know I can't write a book because too many people are alive.
So, anyways,
Well, so it's
People
up
that
to the
know where the
governor.
shovels are, right?
Absolutely, people
Not
who
just
know
the
where
bodies, but the
shovels are,
shovels, right?
people who were there for the planning meetings. Yeah, no chance.
Well, governor, sounds like it's on you, brother.
yes,
Absolutely. We
yes.
all, you know what? All second.
I move for that. Anyhow, um, good stuff. Great year. Hopefully more years to come as we've been doing this already.
So
We
I'm
hope
gonna
you,
interrupt you one second. We'll say one
yeah,
thing before you finish us off for this.
of course.
I am challenging everybody, not just on the screen, but everybody that hears this, to make sure that we work hard to be a better version of ourselves in 2025 than we were in 2024.
Amen.
Amen.
Good stuff. I like that a lot.
Collect more stones.
We will see each other next year, pun intended. So enjoy yourselves, enjoy the company, enjoy the days, and we'll see each other soon. Bye, everyone.